Learning or building an English vocabulary can often feel overwhelming and tiring, especially if you're just starting on your English learning journey. And that is why in this video, I'm going to share with you the 7 simple and effective strategies that I have been using as an English learner to easily and conveniently build my English vocabulary. And just before we get into the video, I just want to let you know that building an English vocabulary is different from improving an English vocabulary. In this video, we are talking about strategies to build an English vocabulary. With that being said, let's get into the video. I'm Jay and this is Speak English with Jay. So the first and a very important strategy to use when just starting to build a new vocabulary is by using an English dictionary and having an English vocabulary notebook. A dictionary and a notebook are really important resources to have when learning and building your English vocabulary. Not only will a dictionary give the meaning of the word that you have learned, it will also tell you if the word you've learned is a noun, a pronoun, an adjective, a verb, or an adverb. It will also give you sentences using the new word that you have learned. Some advanced dictionaries also give related words to the word you learned and also give the synonyms and antonyms to the word that you have just learned, which is also another way to learn new vocabulary. It is very important to have a dictionary. If you don't have a hard copy dictionary, you can access an online dictionary. Just make sure you have an English dictionary. Having a notebook is also important when building and learning an English vocabulary. And that leads us to a second strategy, which is creating a list of the new words that you have learned. Create a list of the new vocabulary words that you have learned. Creating a list of vocabulary words that you learn helps you to easily retrieve, review, and remind yourself of the new words that you previously learned. Every time you open your notebook to write new vocabulary, it's really and much easier to go through the vocabulary that you learned previously before you add the new vocabulary word, which helps you master and memorize your new vocabulary. So ensure every time you learn new words, create a list of the new words that you have learned. The next strategy to learn and build up your English vocabulary is by repetition. Repeating the words you've learned by regularly putting them into use. It's much easier to apply repetition when you've created a list of the new vocabulary words that you have learned. Once you learn a new word and you've written it down in your notebook, don't just close the book and leave it there. Go through the vocabulary you've learned after 10 to 15 minutes, after 50 to 60 minutes, after 1 day, the next 2 days, the next 3 days. The more you repeat the new words you've learned, the easier it is to grasp and use the new words. When you learn a new word today and you don't go through them, you don't repeat it in your head, it's not put into you. After 2 or 3 days, you'll have forgotten it, and you don't want that to happen. Ensure you repeat vocabulary words you have learned. Let's get to the next strategy. The next strategy you can use to learn and build your English vocabulary is by using mnemonic devices. Mnemonic devices are memory aids that helps us remember information by associating the information with something else. I use this technique to master the 5 kingdoms of living organisms. If you're a biology student, you know that we have 5 kingdoms of living organisms. We have Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, Monera, and Protists. I found it hard to remember or recall all this. So I used the initial letters to create a mnemonic device. So every time a question asks about the 5 kingdoms, I'll just say, Anne plays football partly on Mondays. So by just saying that, I'd be able to associate the initial letters to the initial letters of the 5 kingdoms. I didn't really have to stress to do that. So you can apply that strategy when building up your English vocabulary. Use memory aids. So the next strategy or technique to build up your English vocabulary is by using active recall. Active recall basically refers to retrieving information from your memory. Some of the ways you can practice active recall is by regularly testing yourself on the new vocabulary that you learned or playing games with your friends or by yourself. Some really helpful word games you can play include crossword, Scrabble, Boggle, and even 3-word games. For instance, let's say you learned 20 kitchen vocabulary and you are playing the 3-word game with your friend. So your friend will ask you, give me 3 processes involved in cooking. I can say baking, stirring. It's both an easy and fun way to expand, learn, and build your English vocabulary. Active recall. The next strategy is contextual learning. Learning new words in a context helps us understand the meaning of the new word and the uses of the new word in real-life situations. For instance, words that appear in a novel, a newspaper, or an article are easy to understand and use compared to words that just appear in a vocabulary list. So all I'm trying to say is, as a learner who wants to learn and build their English vocabulary, you should develop a habit of reading. Contextual learning can be done through reading books, especially novels, reading newspapers, reading articles that interest you. You can also practice contextual learning by watching shows that aren't based on a particular idea. For instance, shows that are based on cooking will help you expand, learn, and build your kitchen vocabulary. Shows that are based on sports will help you expand your vocabulary on sports. Likewise, the shows that are based on the courtroom, they will help you expand your vocabulary in the courtroom. The last and the most important strategy to learn and build your English vocabulary as a learner is by practicing. Practice, practice, practice. Either use it or lose it, because what's the point in learning a new word if you're not gonna put it into practice? You don't even have to be perfect, you just have to be progressing. So ensure that every single word you fix it in your daily conversations with your friends, with your teachers, with your parents, with your siblings. Fix the new words you learn in your daily conversation. What's the point of learning it if you're not planning to use it? Those are basically the strategies that I have been using as a learner to build my English vocabulary, and that marks the end of this video. If you are an English student who is interested in learning English tips that will help you improve your English skills, then I highly recommend that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my English videos. And with that being said, let's catch up in my next video. Bye.